So welcome to my channel, and that's what we call the good life. Today I'm going to take you for a little tour around my home garden, and I'm going to be showing you a new project that I've got going on in the greenhouse. Now, to start off with, I mean, obviously things are starting to look a little bit bare now, but I have still got some tomatoes that are ripening on there. So I've got quite a few here. I know a lot of people are getting a little bit impatient to get their tomatoes off because they're worried that the cold weather is going to affect them. I'm in Kent, and I generally always leave mine on for as long as I can, at least until the end of October. But what I do is I don't wait for them to completely ripen. So because they're more likely to split and go a little bit icky this time of year, I pick them off when they're more orange, and then I just finish them off on the windowsill a little bit more. So those could come off, but I think I'll leave those ones there. But I haven't really got that many more left now. But yeah, after the experience of having a lot of rain a couple of weeks ago and not being able to get out and take them off, they kind of all over ripened a little bit and split. So one of the tips I would give you is I prefer to leave mine on for a little bit longer, but just to take them off a little bit sooner. As we move down to the French beans, I could pick a few more off, but I've been leaving them on there to produce, to dry and to produce some beans for next year, so I can plant using my existing beans. These are, believe it or not, French beans, but they look absolutely massive. But I'm going to leave these on here to naturally dry, and if I have to, I'll take them off and I'll dry them indoors. So I'm just going to leave them as they are. I've got some strawberry plants down here which provided fantastic strawberries for me this year. They are looking a little bit messy and a little bit weedy, so I am going to have to go through that over the next few weeks and try and tidy it up. I've also got my sweet peas over there, which were absolutely phenomenal this year, and I've left the pods on there to dry, and they do look like they're pretty much ready to come off, so I better start getting them off before they just start dropping on the ground and seeding into the ground. So as we move over, I've got some more tomatoes here, and the same thing, I'm just taking them off when they're not quite as red, just to avoid them getting ruined or splitting. So I'll just take a few more off. I had a good handful for lunch today, so definitely worth leaving them on. And I think there's nothing nicer than them ripen naturally if we can. Obviously, if the weather gets too bad, then we'll take them off and you can put them on a windowsill or in a greenhouse, maybe a conservatory, that kind of thing. So let's take those last couple off there. I've got a lovely lot of spinach here, absolutely fantastic. I started some spinach off to have a little bit at home, and I think I was worried that I wouldn't have enough, so I think I put a little bit too much out. So I've got plenty of spinach to take me through the winter. Well, actually it's chard, Bright Light's chard, but very, very similar. And one of the benefits of chard is it is cut and come again, so it'll take you all through the winter, right through to the spring, when in the spring it might bolt, and then obviously I'll need to put some more in. Anyone who follows me knows that I've had some spring onions in my greenhouse for absolutely ages, what feels like months. I've finally got them in the ground. Now, I don't know whether I've left it too long or not before I put them in, but they look like they've taken, so we'll just have to see how they do over the coming weeks. And that moves us nicely on to the aubergines. So I've got a few aubergines there that I've already picked, but I've got some more that I can take off as well. So these, as I think, if you follow me, I get grafted aubergines. I find that they just grow so much better. I mean, we are in October and I've still got aubergines. I don't do anything really special with them. I just plant them. They do need a lot of support, and I just feed them with tomato feed, a little bit of potash, but nothing too exciting and nothing too fancy. But they just do seem to like this part of the garden. Got a little bit of asparagus over there, which I will just leave to die off. I don't know where it came from, but it just kind of sprung up a few years ago, and we've just left it there. If you're going to get something for free, why on earth would you dig it up? I've got a lovely lot of herbs in here. The parsley's starting to look a little bit shabby, but sometimes this can overwinter, and even if it doesn't, I can put some new in next year. I should be having some of that with my tea this evening, and I'll be having some aubergines and some tomatoes and some cucumbers from my garden as well. As we move around, covered by the leaves, I've got a lovely lot of thyme in there, which is doing really, really lovely. That's fully hardy, and that will last. And I've got some chives there as well, and although they might die back over the winter, they'll most likely just grow back next year. The parsley might do, but it's a bit hit and miss with that as to whether it will do. I've got a few chilies here, and if I'm honest with you, they're a little bit disappointing. I've had only but a handful of chilies off those. I have no idea what's happened to that plant. I've looked after it just as well as I look after everything else, but it just hasn't been very happy at all. I've got a few chilies off of it. but nothing like I would have hoped for. But there you go, it's just one of those things. Now let's just head off into the greenhouse and I'll show you what I'm up to in there. So I'm in the greenhouse. It's very, very different to what it was like last year. Last year nearly everything had finished and died off, whereas this year it's a bit like a jungle. And if I'm honest, I've just been tempted to leave it, because I think, do you know what, if it's all growing really well and it's all producing fruit and vegetables, I'm just going to leave it be, because it will soon get cold and it will soon die off, because my greenhouse is not heated, so it's only all going to last for so long. I took a couple of cucumbers off today, so I literally can't believe these are Nimrod cucumbers, and they're supposed to be smaller than that, to be fair, have been producing so incredibly reliably. I've only got 3 plants through the middle here, and as you can see they've spread all up and around the back here, and I'm still taking them off, and I've still got more that are coming, so I am just going to enjoy them for as long as they last. And the tomatoes, I've got a couple on here but not really that many. Oh, there we go, we can take that one off. But they are nearly finished, so I've got a few tomatoes left that are still ripening in here, so I'll get those off. And my Cape gooseberries, they do seem a little bit behind in here compared to up at the allotment, which is really odd. So they're all planted at the same time, but the ones up at the allotment, I'm already taking Cape gooseberries off and eating them, whereas these ones are not quite the same story, but we'll just see how they go. I do have a friend in Wales that's actually overwintered his Cape gooseberries, so maybe I shall do that. So I will have to, I think, start to train them up a little bit, but we'll just see what happens with those. Now on to my new project. Let me just put my basket down. So I'm sure I know I've got some regular followers that have been following me all the time, and I started some seeds off about a month ago, and I've got some kale here, some curly, some cavanero, some pak choy, some mustard, ruby streaks, and some mixed winter salad. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually, you know, you can obviously plant them outside or you can plant them in your greenhouse, but I've been following someone on YouTube, just like myself, so even though I'm on YouTube I like to see what everyone else is doing, and he's been putting things, keeping things in his greenhouse a little bit more. So I will do a little bit of both if I've got room for it, if I've got enough plants. But what I find is, and what he found is, this time of year when you put out the new plants, the slugs or the snails or other things take them, and you don't get to enjoy your wonderful produce. And what he does is he puts them in his greenhouse. He starts his off in mushroom trays, which I have got one here somewhere, and he lines his with newspaper and puts a bit of compost on, which I'm going to do as well. But I've also got like a tomato tray here, and I've just put a tomato bag in there. I've taken some of the compost out of it because it was quite a lot, because I'm going to use that to do other things. So I've got a load that I've taken out, and I've mixed with some core in there to do some other projects with, because I don't want to waste it all. I don't want to waste one bag full of compost on just a few plants, because it all costs money. So what I'm going to do is basically transplant these in here and keep them in here and just see how they fare over the winter. So normally I would pop a few bits in here, but as you can see I haven't got any space anyway, and as I saw this really great idea I thought I'd give it a go, so I'm just going to pop a few in now. So the fiddly bit is these trays are really, really delicate, and it's getting in them, which is the tricky thing. So let's try and pop a few out. So this is probably the most complicated bit that I've got, and I need to get myself a little trowel, which I think I've got here. Let's pop the first one out, and all I'm going to do, I'm not even really going to pull them apart, I'm just going to pop them into the grow bag, and I'm going to water them in. So I'm going to do a row of the mustard streaks. So I don't know how many of these I'm going to fit in, but I've never really, if I'm honest with you, grown salad that successfully over the winter. I've taken it through a little bit into the winter, and I've got some out really early in the spring and done it quite successfully, but I've never, what I would call, really successfully grown any kind of salad leaves all throughout the winter, unless you count the things like chard and things like that, which are like fully hardy, and they're not really a salad. We can use them as a salad leaf, but yeah. So I've got some more here. I'm just going to do a little row of each. So that's my salad leaves and my cow planted out. I'm just going to water these. I'll probably just water them just with the little watering can so I don't knock them over too much. I have got some other salad leaves that they're a little bit too small at the moment, but I'm going to pop those in that mushroom tray. Now I do hope you've enjoyed my video, and if you're wondering what you can sow and plant in the month of October, there is a link up on the screen and there's also one in the description.